You've probably just gone through the papers. Government of national unity. Let's pass over how you can call it government of national unity when it's against what the nation voted for. What the plan is here is to have a kind of civilian junta like the EU imposed on Italy and Greece in 2011. They want to have a change of government without an election, and I think if they do that, then there may well be another postponement. But there will eventually have to be a reckoning when the election comes.
I mean, the difference is this wouldn't be imposed. This would be a majority in Parliament, in the Commons coming together. And that's the problem, it seems to me, when people talk about the illegitimacy of Parliament.
I mean, that is true of every coup from Bonaparte onwards maintains the outward form of having some parliamentary vote to endorse it. But the reality is we are talking here about democracy dodgers. They are refusing to implement the referendum result, and at the same time, they are refusing to go back to the country and allow a fresh dissolution. And I think any fair-minded person looking at that, whether they voted Remain or Leave, whether they're traditionally Labour or Tory, will see that there is some basic hypocrisy with saying, bring it on, while constantly voting against
You call them democracy dodgers. I mean, the reality is, as you know, referendum campaign was about taking back control to a sovereign parliament. Sovereign parliament actually elected more recently than the referendum result.
Elected on the basis of a clear manifesto promise from Labour that they would implement the referendum result. So yeah, absolutely right, they are a sovereign parliament, but 85% of MPs in that parliament stood on manifestos promising to implement the referendum. And when they now turn around and say, well, we kind of didn't really mean that, we had our fingers crossed behind our back, I think they endanger the legitimacy of our democratic system.
Except what they are also saying in the case of the Labour Party, for example, is first of all, they're not ruling out the possibility of Brexit, but they are saying it makes sense now that we know the details to have a look at it and ask the people again.
That's
also democratic, isn't it?
But no one's falling for that. Because what they're doing is they are voting against everything, creating gridlock, creating maximum chaos, and then pointing at the chaos that they've created and saying, oh, look, Brexit was a terrible idea. People are not that
Well, in that case, let's have another referendum and have people vote for Brexit again.
We just had a referendum.
We didn't. We had it 3.5 years ago.
If they don't want to implement the referendum, which I think is dishonest given what they promised at the election, then at least go back to the electorate and have a general election. But they don't want to do that either.
But on the other hand, I've been talking to you about Brexit for years. What is shaping up is, first of all, uncertain. And secondly, it's not what you dreamt of back all that time ago,
the problem we have had since the 2017 election is that an anti-Brexit majority in Parliament has been colluding with Brussels to try and prevent any kind of amicable settlement.
But the problem we've also had is that when Mrs May reached an agreement, there are, a significant section of the Tory party wouldn't vote for it. So it's not just them who are undemocratic and blocking the agreement, it's your own party.
Well, and the problem with Theresa May's agreement was that under the Irish backstop, we were being asked to exchange a status that has an exit clause, i.e. EU membership, at least in theory, with one that doesn't. And no serious country could do that. And the reason that that was put on the table by the EU in late 2017, by the way, only after the election, was because they were hearing from British MPs, look, if you hang tough, if you don't give any concessions, we might be able to reverse Brexit altogether.
We will see if we're back for your third retirement party next year, Dan and Hannan. Thank you.